Hey all, it's Kate. Today I'm going to be talking about the books that I read in June and some of the books that I'm hoping to read in July. So the first book that I read in June was Cold Mountain by Charles Fraser, which I gave 5 stars, and I actually did a review for it. Wow, shocking. And I love this book. It took me a very long time to read this book, but I think it's well worth it. If you're somebody who's able to put up with dense descriptions and a slow plot, then this is a very, very good book. This book takes place during the Civil War and follows Inman, a Confederate deserter, and Ada, the woman that he loves. And she's struggling to maintain her father's land after his death, and he's just trying to find his way home. So it's dual perspectives, but the thing is it's done so well. I normally don't like multiple perspective books unless they are equally compelling in both sides, and this one definitely was, which is what I was pleasantly surprised by. This is also a movie, and I watched the movie as well, and I actually think that the movie was really, really good. I think it was a very good representation of the book. There were only a couple things that were different from the book, but I understand why they were different, just because Hollywood and how they have to make things work and stuff. But I don't know, I just think that both the book and the movie were beautiful stories, and I mean, they're the same story. What am I saying? Anyways, I really enjoy this story. The next book that I read is I Felt a Funeral in My Brain by Will Walton. I think this is, this is out now. I got this as an ARC at a book festival, but this came out in May. I enjoyed this book. I gave it 3 stars, I think. It wasn't anything that blew me away, but it was very interesting. It's told in a very interesting format. It's mostly, I think, prose, but it's also telling a story through the prose. Is that called narrative prose? I think that's what that is. I should know this much, be an English major. Oh my goodness. I guess I'll learn this in the future or something. But anyways, this book, I don't even know how to describe what it's about. It's a tale of grief, but it follows, actually, what was the main character's name? Avery. The main character's name was Avery. And it's kind of just an inward looking book. It's kind of Avery analyzing how he deals with the situation, and I don't know, it's very interesting, but it wasn't something that blew me away or anything. I just enjoyed it, so 3 stars. I also read Siege and Storm in June, which is the second book in the Grisha trilogy, which I will finish the Grisha trilogy soon, but we'll see when that will be. I enjoyed this a lot more than I enjoyed the first one. So the first one I gave 4 stars, I think, and this one I think I gave 5 stars. I can't remember though, but I really, really did enjoy this book. I think that the plot is becoming more engaging as it goes on, but even though I did enjoy this more than the other one, I enjoyed it more simply because it's getting more complex, but it was a little bit slow in parts. Maybe I gave this 4 stars, I don't even remember. But yeah, there were some parts where it was just slow, and it was like, okay, we can speed this up. I know that this is happening, but it doesn't have to take this long. I don't know. But I still enjoyed it. I'm not super, super fond of the characters. The characters in this series are just, okay, I guess, but, they don't blow me away or anything. So this is, I'm enjoying reading this book a lot. Not this book, this series a lot, just because, I enjoy the concept of it, and it's engaging. So, and it's really, they're pretty quick reads. I also read Looking for Alaska by John Green this month, which I didn't really plan to read. I just kind of impulsively started reading it, and I read it. But I really, really enjoyed this book. I gave this one 5 stars for sure. I really didn't know what I was getting into when I read this book, because I knew nothing about it. I just knew that it was one of his best books, or not best, I guess, but most popular and most well-acclaimed books. And I understand why now. I just didn't realize that it was going to be so heart-wrenching and so sad. I thought it was going to be a typical, John Green has 2 types of books. He has the kind that are just fluffy and fun, and there's the kind that you think are funny and fluffy until they turn really dark all of a sudden, The Fault in Our Stars, you know what I mean? But I didn't expect this to be the second type. I was expecting it to be the first type, so it kind of took me by surprise, but I still loved it. And every time I read a John Green book, I'm just reminded of how much that I love his writing, because his humor is amazing, and I really enjoy his characters because they're all very unique. I do understand why some people think that Alaska in this book is similar to Margot from Paper Towns, but it doesn't really bother me that much. I can see their differences and I can see the similarities, but I don't know. I just really like this book, so I would definitely recommend it. I also read A Court of Frost and Starlight this month, which I didn't expect to be 200 pages, but I don't know. I think I didn't really know what to expect, except that it was like the next book in the series, but it's not the next book, it's a novella, but I figured that out pretty quickly. So I know that a lot of people, I think, haven't been enjoying this as much as the other books, but I still enjoyed it. I completely understand that there's not really a plot in this book, and it's really just what happens after the last book. But to me, I was totally okay with that, because the reason I love this series so much is because the characters are so dynamic, and I really just love seeing their interactions and what goes on with them. And even though there was no plot in this book, that's basically the whole point of this novella, is just to see the characters in their natural environment, I guess, or what happens to like wrap things up after the previous book. And for me, I wanted that. I wanted to see the loose ends get tied together. So I enjoyed this. I think I gave it 5 stars. The last book that I read in June was The Dream Thieves by Maggie Stiefvater, which is the second book in the Raven Cycle series. And I loved this. I already loved The Raven Boys, because I gave that 5 stars, so I also gave this 5 stars. But this was even better than The Raven Boys, because it's not what I expected, and at the same time it's exactly what I expected. It's what I wanted, I guess, is how I should say it. I enjoy the direction that the series is now taking. What I love so much about this series is the characters. Obviously, that's what compels me in books. But in this series, they are also unique, and it's not just their personalities, it's their entire essence, like their persona. They all feel so distinct in my mind, and I'm pretty sure that's probably how it is for most people, which is probably why this series is so popular. But I just really love reading the series just to see the characters. Also, because it's not like anything I ever read before. It's slightly paranormal and slightly contemporary, and it's a confusing genre, I guess, but it's so unique that I love it so much. So I'm surprised that I read 6 books in June, but it's probably because it's summer and I literally have nothing else to do. So in July, I'm probably not going to read as much, but I'm still aiming for a lot. Currently, I'm reading Blue Lily, Lily Blue, which is kind of a tongue twister, but anyways. I'm about 150 pages in this book, and so far I really love it. After that, of course, I'm hoping to read The Raven King so I can finish off this series and actually see what happens, because I want to know. At some point in this month, I want to read Ruin and Rising by Lee Bardugo, which is the last book in the Grisha trilogy, but currently I can't read it because it's on hold at the library. So whenever I get that from the library, I will read that, but we'll see. Hopefully that's this month. And the last book that I really want to get to in July is Love in the Time of Cholera by Gabriel Garcia Marquez. You gotta give the correct pronunciation. This is a book that I chose for the, how do I describe this? There's this thing at the college that I'm going to where you read a book. It's like an incoming freshman book club, basically. And so I picked this book because I read a lot of Marquez's short stories in my Spanish class this year, and I really loved his short stories. So I figured I would give one of his highly acclaimed novels a try, even though this one looks a lot denser than I thought it would be. But I hope I enjoy it. It might take me a very long time to read, but we'll see. That's all for today. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you soon. Bye!